Student loan debt. Yes. I am one of the 40 million plus Americans who have student loan debt. I have a lot of student loan debt. 28,000. I went to a tech school. Don't have a degree. 40% of people who have taken out student loans, almost half, 40%, don't have a degree or a certificate or anything that even shows they went to college. The reason is for a multitude of reasons, you know, economics, you have to go to work. You don't finish your degree because you can't justify going another $15,000 or $20,000 into debt because it's really not getting you anything. I made a horrible decision in 2018 to take out student loans. I should have never done it, but I was in a new place. I needed money and I needed a future. I genuinely needed an education. I thought I was incorrect about that in my particular field. I was becoming an electrician. It was a horrible decision, a horrible mistake. I don't even live in Minnesota anymore. That's where I borrowed the money. And now the Trump administration and Linda McMahon, who is Vince McMahon's wife, who has never done anything in her life other than help run the WWE and F, which doesn't allow their people to have unions. They're really bad with labor. The McMahons are awful people. And of course, now she's the head of the Department of Education, and she's saying that it's not fair for the federal government to pay for these student loans. It's not fair, and so now we're going to start garnishing your wages. We're going to take your tax return. I filed my taxes, and they took my federal tax return, all of it. Didn't tell me why, didn't give me any information about it. I literally did not get a federal tax return. I only got a state tax return, and which was thousands of dollars. And nobody told me why. I didn't get the IRS didn't tell me why. I had to do some research, and I found out it's part of this Trump plan. The next move is they'll start to garnish wages. It'll start to affect Social Security benefits. I can't imagine anything more cruel than taking somebody's Social Security because of a student loan. The Biden administration forgave loans for millions of people. I know people who had their student loans completely forgiven by the Biden administration because of their public service, because of some other reasons I won't go into. Too much into depth. I don't really understand them myself fully. But now they're coming for you. And they don't care that we're in a cost of living crisis. They don't care that the pandemic fucked over a ton of people, me included. The reason I didn't finish and get my certificate, my whatever it was from the tech school I went to, is because when the pandemic hit, the school shut down and everything went online. We had labs. We had to finish projects and electrical projects, wire a room or whatever. And I had to go. I was a frontline worker at the time. I had to go to work to pay my bills. And my work schedule was, and I don't know if you tried to find work in 2020, it was a little, unless you wanted to work some shit job, and I worked a shit job, I couldn't make the lab times. There was no way for me to I was working during the day, and of course the teachers had to leave. They couldn't get, and I don't blame them. That's their schedule, 8 to 4 or whatever. But I couldn't go in on a Saturday. I couldn't go in on a Sunday. I couldn't go in at night. I couldn't go in super early in the morning. And I had to make a decision. And and these projects would have taken me, they would have taken me a little bit of time. And I just didn't have that time in 2020. Because, like I said, the labs were at a different time. Had we still been in school, I could have done I would have done a work schedule that would have, worked for me, and I probably could have finished and stayed a little later but 2020 just threw me into, it really did. It completely changed the trajectory of my career, my life. And I'm but one story. I know a lot of people who are in default. I'm not in default yet, but I will be soon, and I have to start making payments. And now the Trump administration is trying to get rid of the income-driven payment system to where you, instead of paying 10% of what you make a month, you paid 5%. And in some cases, you could even get less. And there was some, and now that's going away because conservatism is absolute abject cruelty. They will never mind that they bailed out the banks in 2009, right? After a financial crisis, which is exactly what 2020 was, a financial crisis. They bailed out the banking industry. They have bailed out the airline industry. They have bailed out other major corporations and businesses and never made them pay their loans back. But we have to pay loans back. By the way, every dollar that you borrow for a student loan, FAFSA, is backed, guaranteed by the federal government. Meaning this money has already been paid. This is money that's already covered. They don't need to collect this money. But because they use words like fairness, and they say, and people hear that, liberals and conservatives, and they say, and I know liberals who have said to me, I don't think it's fair that student loans get reduced because it would devalue my education and it would devalue what my parents paid. I wasn't so lucky to have parents who had any money, so nobody ever paid for my college. And I had to work. And I had to borrow money because even if I worked, I couldn't have afforded it in 2 years. 14,000, ridiculous. And study and work. It was brutal. And most people that experience this, they know. And if you don't get a degree in something that pays well, you are never going to pay. Your student debts will going to take forever, or you're going to have to get a second job or whatever. But all of these loans are backed already. That's why you don't go through a credit check when you borrow money from the government to go to college. That's why these institutions desperately need your FAFSA money. Every tech school, they're all student loans driven, most of them. And they're good for the economy, and they're good for the community, and they educate people, and they make us better people, and they make us smarter. I believe that conservatives, and I don't even believe this anymore, I know for a fact, through guys like Elon Musk and Mike Rowe, that piece of shit actor from Dirty Jobs, telling you need to get off your ass and go to work in the mines. Elon Musk said, quit your productive government jobs, or unproductive government jobs, and go into productive jobs like mining and manufacturing. So you can mine and manufacture his batteries. So you can make these people more money. And by the way, I took the loans out knowing I would have to pay them back. I'm not arguing that I didn't think I was going to have to pay them back ever, but I also didn't know there would be a pandemic in 2020. I also don't think that anybody could predict a global pandemic in 2020, which Joe Biden and the Democrats responded to correctly in pausing student loan payments. And Joe Biden tried and successfully got a lot of people's student loans reduced and completely gone. That's what should have happened. He did the right thing, and I'll applaud him for that. And there is domestic differences between the Republicans and Democrats. Foreign policy remains roughly the same, but it's the domestic differences that, if you're going to vote, most people understand this. But this is just, they don't want you going to college. Conservatives want you to go and work. I know so many working class people who never attended college, and they're all dumb as fuck. They're all conservatives. And they all didn't go to college because they were like, I'm not taking on any debt. I'm not taking on student loan debt, and I'm not going to college. I'm going to go right to work. And this is what conservatives want you to do. They don't want you to go to college. College is for them and their kids. College is for the middle class and rich people. That's who it's for. It's not for you to better yourself, working class, poor person. So if you take a student loan out, we're going to gouge you in the fucking eyes with interest, and we're going to garnish your wages. We're going to go right to your employer, and we're going to make sure that you pay 10% or whatever it is a month of your student loan. And for a lot of people, this is a disaster. To take away any money out of their paychecks, working class people who tried to better themselves and largely became victims of a global economic disaster. And now you don't get anything for it. Now you get to resume. Meanwhile, housing is more expensive. Electricity is more expensive. Gas is more expensive. Food is more expensive. Clothing is more expensive. Do you see where I'm going with this? What this is the continued march against the working class and poor. And conservatives want you to stay working class and poor. They don't want you, because once you become educated, you become liberal. Once you start to get educated, and once you go into college and you're around information and intellectuals, and you see the world and you start to learn how to think, because college teaches you how to think. High school doesn't. Colleges challenge your critical thinking skills. They want you to be a critical thinker. They're teaching you to think, and in a lot of ways. And the conservatives do not want this. They will tell you as much. They're trying to bring back the Gilded Age. They want everybody poor but them. They want themselves to be educated, and the working classes and the poor to continue to stay where they are in their class and to never be able to better themselves. And if they want to better themselves through college, then they're going to have to go into massive amounts of debt. And God forbid if some pandemic or some economic crisis, which we are in already, happens. This is the cruelty of garnishing people's Social Security is bad enough. I knew when I took the loans out, like I said, I knew I was going to have to pay them back. And I don't even mind paying them back, but I do mind that all of the promises of the economy and all of the economy in 2018 is not the same as the economy in 2025. It's just not. And now they're garnishing, and if maybe you've had this problem, you've had your federal income tax, your federal taxes garnished, and nobody told you why. No detail, no letter from the IRS, nothing. It just happened because the Trump administration has secretly been telling these collection agencies like Mohila and all these other places that don't accept the income-driven plans anymore. Don't even answer them back. If somebody gets a hold of you and wants an income-driven plan, ignore it. They're evil. I mean, I don't believe in the supernatural. I think it's all bullshit. I think it's superstition. But these people are aberrant. They live on cruelty. I think that's why it's so easy for people to accept that the leaders of the world eat babies for adrenochrome. I think it's just easy. And they're misunderstanding their cruelty. I don't think they eat babies. I think they like seeing babies starve. I think they like seeing poor, especially brown people, poor babies to starve. They don't give a fuck about you. They only care about you in the womb because it's a moral issue and it's a Christian issue, and they can use it as a blunt force object on you when you vote. Oh, abortion, another abortion issue. Let's get out there and fuck. Let's protect that baby inside the womb. Forget the woman. Forget when the baby's born. Forget the child. They're trying to cut child lunches. They're trying to get rid. They don't care about you. They use morality against you. They always have. Conservatives, white conservative Christians, but others, they use Christianity against you. They use morality against helping people. You think to yourself, how could that be possible, Jason? Because they don't care. You starving, you suffering, they do not give a shit. They don't think that it lowers society because they're not really part of this society. They're above it. They're so wealthy that they don't even have to talk to people. They pay their own people shitty money. They pay their assistants nothing. These are cruel, awful people who only care about money. They only care about accumulation. They don't care about human beings. They don't care about suffering. They don't care about pain. They want to continue the war on working class and poor people, because working class and poor people generally don't give money to political campaigns, and they're not really politically active. And frankly, the working classes are dumb as shit, and that's why they need fucking education. But if you start to educate them, then they're going to start realizing how fucked over they've been for their entire lives, and then they're going to start organizing, and then they're going to take down the power structure. And so Trump and his cruelty brigade will use the collection of student loans to continue keeping poor people, poor and working class in their places. And they'll accept the shitty jobs, and they'll go back to the mines and start manufacturing lithium. Jesus fucking Christ. I hate conservatives. Thank you for listening.